Hello to everyone. This is me Sakshi Agrawal and I am with my new concept called Java technology and its major concept which is known as platform independency. Here to share with you all. Let's have a glance over it. Now, what is the Java technology is? The technology is something that which used to communicate between the softwares and IT sector. And why we need is to make the work to be efficiently work and to make the software to run particular device in a very frequent manners without any errors. Now moving to inside the technology, there we have to know firstly about the language. This is the way to communicate with the devices and to make the product to be more qualified. We are using technologies. What is language? Using communication, performance and action through electronic device. Why we need to communicate? Make it task easy and accurate in fraction of second. Why we need it? We need it to just having a best way of our life living and easily to come over the problems. And now moving to further is how many types of language there are several types of language defined by our most of the authors and scientists like Java, C, C++, Python and all. But why Java? Java is useful for communicating through network devices, that is inter-based application. Java is used to build an inter-based application. Why not C and C++? Hence, C and C++ are standalone application development languages. Like these types of languages used to develop a standalone application. What is mean by standalone application? Standalone applications are the applications which is not meant to introduce networking calling, which are not performing network calling. What is the network calling is? The network calling is if we have implement some of the software or a program in a particular type of Windows or operating system, it should be communicate with other operating system with different operating systems. Like if we have generated some such kind of code in Windows system, so our main motive should be that this generated code can be executed to other OS like Linux, Unix and all other Mac and other operating system. So what's the problem is with C and C++? C and C++ are the programming language which is used to implement standalone application. The application which are executing at the same operating system where they are designed. Like if we are designing a software in a Windows system, so it is in standalone application it is only applicable to execute the code in the same operating system of Windows. Other than operating system cannot execute the code. So this is the major problem we are facing in C and C++ type of programming language. So how the Java get the solution from this? Like have an internet application. If we have a server side built in a Linux, we are implementing our concept, we are implementing our code in Linux system. But we have a both type of client who are having a Windows system and also a Linux system. So we are offering them both the same type of code. But the Linux system, the client who has the system with Linux can execute our program, but the client who has the Windows in his end cannot execute the code. So this is the problem which we are facing. So what if we are facing, what we are losing in it? The major thing we are losing in it is a business, because we are not making the client to be stick to the same Windows or same operating system which we are using for coding. We cannot stick to a client for the same operating system. So this is the reason why we are facing problem in business. So to come over these problems, James Cosley and built a new concept in Java, that is JVM, and that is bytecode. So what is JVM and what is bytecode? We are seeing further. So what the solution is to be generate a machine language generation, that is implementing a code in such a way that it can be easily understandable by the current OS machine language. So this is the solution of the problem. Now how to implement this machine learning generated code? So here, to achieve the platform independency and to solve the above problem, James Cosley introduced the bytecode and JVM in Java technology. This bytecode and JVM keep enhancing the code in the form of machine language. They interrupt or they translate the code in such a way that each and specific OS can understand the server side based operating system generated code. How it is possible? Let's see. First of all, we have a three extension files in all over the languages. Like in C, C++, we have a dot class. Like first we have an a dot C class file, then we have a dot class file, and then we have dot obgs file and dot exe file. Right? Sorry. Like dot class, dot obg, and dot exe file in C and C++. But in Java, we don't have an .exe file. We have only two files, that is .java file and the next it .class file. So the .java file, what does it contain? It contains the source code, which is an readable code and which is implemented by a software or a developer. It can be it was in a simple language and we can read it. So the .java file execute the code that is like Java, which is implemented in a simple language. Now this code is move on to the next phase, which is a compilation phase, and this compilation phase is generated a .class file. Since in this compilation phase, Sun has introduced a new concept, that is bytecode. The compiled uh, the compiled generated code, that is .class file, is in the form of bytecode that is not understandable by human being. It is a native language of JVM which can easily understand and translated by JVM to the current machine language. So here the .class file contain the bytecodes, and then this bytecode is transferred to the JVM, which is its native language, and the JVM get in translate these bytecodes according to the relative OS in the current OS system. Now, what is the next? Here, the slogan of Java is write once and read anywhere. That is the same. If the bytecode is generated by the server side and it is in a .class file, now our client can easily access from any over the software or any over the OS system they want. They don't need to be stick to any specific OS. They can introduce or they can implement or execute the file from any of the OS. Like if the server side is generating the code through an Windows system, so the client can happily execute his file from OS like Linux, Unix, Mac, from anywhere of the OS. So this is the powerful and this is the like most beautiful concept in Java. Now next to it, if the class is containing the .class file like bytecode, what is in it? Like bytecode is like line to line interrupted code which is written in a source code file, which is .java file, and the bytecode in compiler just line by line check the syntactical mistake over it and generated the bytecode. The bytecode transfer to the JVM, and the JVM convert into the machine language. The machine language is zeros and ones form. So this is the what the concept which make the more precious important for the Java to be in the market, and what is it is beating the C and C plus as well. Now the conclusion of today's topic is compiler is responsible to convert Java source code into bytecode and storing these bytecode in a separate file with extension .class that we have studied earlier. Now JVM is the responsible to execute these bytecodes. JVM execute those bytecode by converting them into the machine language of current OS. That is right. Now Java has only two files, that is .java and .class file. It doesn't have .exe file. Okay. Now Java class bytecode run in all OS because every OS has its own JVM. Yeah, this is the powerful of concept, that is JVM class, like Java is generating the bytecode, it is generated by the server side. Now the client thing is to like execute the given .class file. The only thing is to be execution. So the client should be focused on execution. So what the Sun introduced the JVM for every separate OS system so that it can execute the upcoming byte file .class file to each and every OS. That means Java class file is .class file is OS independent, but the JVM is OS dependent. Java compiler is OS independent. As I said, .class file can be generated of any of OS, but the JVM should be OS dependent and generated the Java but into the output file Java related files. Moving further, JVM is an OS dependent because it takes Java bytecode and generate the OS dependent machine language. So what is the conclusion is, so Java software is platform dependent since JVM is a platform dependent. What makes the dependency of Java is the software, not the programmer. Like Java is a platform independent language, but the software of Java is platform dependent. And moreover that Java software is for every OS. It is separately introduced by Sun. Here, so Java software is OS dependent and Java language is OS independent. Java is platform dependent or independent. What you can say? So the conclusion is Java program is platform independent, but Java software is platform dependent because JVM is platform dependent and is available for every OS separately. So this all the conclusion what I have given is directly given by Sun Microsystem, and I hope this learning might be useful for you also. Keep learning, keep growing, and we will meet you at our next video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe, like, and if any queries, comment on the comment box. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.